Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. This is a special episode, so let's actually get right to it, shall we? We're actually going to be talking about two prehistoric animals. One of them is a dinosaur, and one of them is a prehistoric shark. And so let's actually get right to the dinosaur, shall we? And that would be Australovenator. Australovenator, in Greek or Latin, means Australian hunter. Basically found in Australia, basically hints to the name. Mid-Cretaceous, 100 million years ago, about 20 feet long, probably close to a ton, or otherwise 1,000 pounds. And of course, it's a carnivore. And basically, the characteristic features of Australovenator is basically is got long legs and arms and a very good long tail, and it's a very sleek built type of theropod. So basically, it would actually be kind of actually like a basal carcharodontosaurid, basically, because considering that it's actually very closely related to the carcharodontosaurids, so it's a neovenatorid. So that would actually be categorized as a sister clade of carcharodontosaurs. And so basically, you'd be hunting titanosaurs, basically smaller ones, not really smaller titanosaurs, not really the really large ones that we think of, like Argentinosaurus. You know, because basically, this kind of dinosaur would actually be attacking basically kind of smaller titanosaurs. Basically, it's got large claws, so basically, you got the large hand claws, basically kind of like Allosaurus and some of the other carcharodontosaurids. And basically, with this dinosaur, this would actually be a very fast dinosaur. Probably between speeds of probably pretty much like 25 miles per hour. I would actually go with 25 miles per hour for this dinosaur, considering that it's actually a very sleek built type of dinosaur. And basically, it's not like Tyrannosaurus, where basically it has the good binocular vision, forward-facing eyes. Its eyes are on the side of its head, so basically, it's going to have to move its head from side to side, basically, to get a really good look at basically what's ahead of them, because basically it's got poor binocular vision, so basically it's not going to have the depth perception. And basically, of course, it's got the good sense of smell, good sense of hearing, and basically Australia is actually one of those places where basically there's new dinosaurs being found there almost all the time now, considering that Australia is kind of an unknown place about dinosaurs. I mean, there's been a few found, but even though there's still more to be discovered out there, and considering that it's basically Australovenator is actually kind of that dinosaur, it actually is kind of relatively new to science. But even though it was discovered around 2009, so basically it's actually going to be not as well known to many dinosaur lovers out there, but basically with all dinosaur lovers that basically would actually know about this a little bit later on. But even though it's actually a really good dinosaur to actually take a good look at. And so it's got blade-like teeth, and basically that means it's got basically slicing prey, not really crushing prey like tyrannosaurs usually would. And so this would actually be a dinosaur that actually be attacking like the neck and the flanks, basically to have the prey bleed to death. It would not use its arms very often, considering that if you actually look at neovenatorids or basal carcharodontosaurids, basically they have very limited arm movement. So basically that means if you look at Acrocanthosaurus, basically Acrocanthosaurus can actually push its arms forward only about 15 degrees, and so that's not a very good range of motion. That's because you see it's very limited. It's not like ours where we can actually move our arms in different directions, and basically we can move our arms in a complete circle. Basically, it's just that these types of animals are not going to be like reaching for something to grab, because if it tried to grab a titanosaur, it would be dragged. And so that would actually be the weakness of Australovenator. And so those would actually be the main weak, and also basically poor depth perception. And those would actually be the main weaknesses of Australovenator. And of course, extinction of Australovenator is basically couldn't adapt to the new changes in the climate, and so that would actually be the one thing that would actually be the problem for Australovenator. course, the next prehistoric animal that we will be talking about is Helicoprion. And Helicoprion is a prehistoric shark. It's one of the most well-known and mysterious prehistoric sharks. And Helicoprion in Greek or Latin means spiral saw. Basically, it's found in basically in oceans, basically. Early Permian, to the early Triassic, so basically 290 to 250 million years ago. I wouldn't totally say early Permian. I would actually say probably more like mid-Permian, because that's basically where it's pretty much actually kind of got started. About 13 to 25 feet long and weighed around between 500 to 1,000 pounds. And basically, it's a shark, basically. It'd be feeding on marine animals, basically. And basically, the most iconic feature of Helicoprion is the spiral of teeth, basically. The teeth kind of go in a spiral, basically. So, it's a row of teeth. These teeth are kind of have rows that are shaped like a spiral, basically. And so, paleontologists have been wondering, when it was first discovered, paleontologists were kind of wondering, what kind of shark actually has this kind of feature? And basically there's no modern relatives of Helicoprion to actually distinguish it with. It's because modern sharks don't have this type of tooth structure, basically, with basically the spiral of teeth, basically. And at first, scientists, basically paleontologists, thought that this was actually kind of like a flicking type of lip, basically, or flicking type of lower jaw that Helicoprion would actually use to slice the prey, kind of like a whip, like a serrated whip, and actually debilitate the prey and basically kill it pretty quickly. But now a recent discovery has shown that that with the fossilized cartilage jaws that actually was found, and I believe it was found in Idaho or Utah, and basically it shows that these teeth are actually connected into the lower jaw, and basically the upper jaw is elongated, and so basically what this animal does is actually slice through the prey, kind of like scissors. So basically this is a scissor-like motion to actually debilitate the prey very quickly. You kill the prey relatively quickly. And so this animal will actually be feeding mostly on soft-bodied type of marine animals, basically like invertebrates like squid, and basically probably would actually go after fish from time to time, but basically it would probably just be feeding on mostly just invertebrates a lot more, considering that the teeth are very delicate. But even though shark teeth are well known to actually be able to go through bone, but it's basically of bones of their prey. Most sharks are actually feeding on fish today, and so basically fish-eating sharks tend to usually crack the bones of the fish. But in terms of basically like mammals like us, it would actually take a lot of muscle power to actually do this. If we were swimming in the oceans with Helicoprion, Helicoprion would not even actually try to go after us. We would be too large for it to fit in its mouth. Even though it could actually give us a warning bite, it would actually slice through the skin and probably slice through a major artery in order to actually have us bleed to death. But of course, Helicoprion is basically longer than a great white shark. As you heard me say, that it's 13 to 25 feet long. So pretty much a large adult that is 25 feet long. It's longer than a great white shark, but it's actually very sleek. It's a sleek-looking shark, so basically it would not actually have that ability to actually use power very much like great whites do or megalodon. So basically this shark is actually just going to be a very fast swimmer. And of course, the extinction of Helicoprion, basically. It's just that wouldn't adapt to the new changes in the oceans, basically, to the environment. Is because, you see, during that time in the early Triassic, it was still recovering from the end Permian extinction, which is basically pretty much where nearly 90% of life has actually been wiped out. And so pretty much it would actually lived a little bit after the extinction, but even though sharks are really great survivors, and so basically that's why they've been around the earth for basically 400 million years. And so that actually kind of puts in perspective of how adaptable sharks can be. And so, but basically Helicoprion's no longer here with us, and basically it's just because I think we're pretty much glad that we haven't actually seen a Helicoprion in the oceans today. Is because, you see, it's a very primitive type of shark to actually be living along with modern type of sharks, just because modern type of sharks have all sorts of senses and abilities that Helicoprion probably wouldn't actually have to actually survive in this kind of world today. Anyway, that's it for now. Now, next week will actually be an answering questions episode. So if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or otherwise go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. But remember, keep your questions short to the point. I can't use a messenger. I can't read the questions that way. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. And also, take care of the people around you. And also, for you younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education, because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. And as you can see, I'm wearing my Jaws t-shirt, and basically it's because it's the last day of Shark Week, and I love Shark Week, and basically this is kind of early for Shark Week. It's usually pretty much like in the end of July or early August is when usually Shark Week was actually around, but basically now they moved it up. I think it's basically because the Discovery Channel has actually kind of made some new changes to make sure that they actually can probably add more wildlife that they can actually do for at least a week, so that way people can actually get a good look at some of these animals. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.